Hey everybody, I'm Ben Yee.
I'm Elissa Stein. Today we're here to talk about the vacancy tax. Quickly, before we get into the ups and downs of all of this, what is the vacancy tax?
A vacancy tax is a fee on people who have property which they leave vacant. And there's lots of reasons to do this, but most commonly it's done with commercial real estate spaces. So if you see all of these empty storefronts around New York City, it's because landlords who own those storefronts are holding out for high rents and therefore nobody moves in.
Right. So in New York City, it's been getting worse and worse.
Yes.
You can walk through stretches of the West Village as empty storefront after empty storefront. So the mayor has decided he wants to tackle this somehow and perhaps put a tax so that landlords don't leave them empty. And right now, where real estate prices and rents are still skyrocketing, it's becoming harder and harder for people to stay in business.
Yes.
So businesses close. Landlords aren't penalized in any way for leaving things empty.
Actually, they're sort of rewarded. So right now there's no penalty for having a vacant storefront, but the way the tax law is written, if you have a vacant storefront, you can take a tax write-off. So it can actually be productive for you to have some properties which generate income and have an expensive single storefront which is vacant, and then take it as a loss against your other profits.
Whoa, okay. So
this
that
would
blight is actually serving somebody well.
Landlords.
The landlords, okay.
Jerk landlords in particular.
So the mayor, there was an article the other day about the mayor who now decided that he wants to take this on.
Yeah.
Which is great, but I have to say, this has been going on for a long time. Why wasn't this an issue before with either the mayor or the city council or the public advocate or something? Mom and pop businesses are dying at a rapid rate in the city. The rents are escalating. Nobody's doing anything to protect any of this, and it seems now like a little too late.
So I've actually been a proponent of a vacancy tax for maybe 2 or 3 years, and I've got an uncle who's an economist, and I sat down and looked at some of the research from other places, and vacancy taxes can really work. They've been very productive in other places. The problem is that a vacancy tax cannot be done by the city. It's something that must be done by Albany because they control almost all taxation in New York State.
Whoa.
The city has almost no power to levy taxes on anything. I've also looked into the idea of incorporating it into sort of a fee or licensing structure, which might be legal, but apparently anything that looks like a tax will eventually get challenged in court.
Okay, I just want to go back to the Albany part. So I just want to be clear about this because, yet again, it's super frustrating that things that affect daily lives of New Yorkers, like the MTA, are so much under the jurisdiction of Albany, which sort of has nothing to do with the daily life of New Yorkers. So why does Albany have this in their jurisdiction? Is it because it's state taxes that are paid and not city taxes? Like, why would they have the right to decide whether there can be a vacancy tax or not?
So, for those who have taken the real politics course, you might recall that there's a section about how the governance structure of the United States is set up. Mm-hmm. States are the only legal entities that are really empowered by the Constitution. Everything underneath them, towns, villages, cities, counties, are all creatures of the state. So they only get as much power as states are interested in giving them. Now, New York City used to have a lot more power in something that's called home rule. Home rule is the idea that your municipal government will have authority over things like taxation and real estate and all this other stuff.
Transportation.
When New York City went bankrupt in the 70s, a lot of the deal in the bailout was money in exchange for ceding power because people had lost faith that
the city could govern itself.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we lost a lot of stuff went back to Albany, and they've never been interested in returning it to New York City for obvious reasons. Real estate interests are very wealthy, and they fund the Republican State Senate and the IDC, which keeps them in power.
Oh my God,
because then they get to vote
together.
against the interests of rent payers in New York, but their constituents don't live here, so who gives a crap?
And as we've been saying now for as long as we've been doing this, Albany is broken.
Yes.
So how can we, as New York City inhabitants, expect broken Albany, who does not have our best interest at heart, come and help us? So it's sort of like the mayor's it's like another one of his kind of talking points, like, vacancy tax, but he really is kind of powerless to do anything about it.
Well, to be fair on that front, there's been a lot of discussion about what New York City can do, and Gail Brewer actually published a really nice comprehensive report on this maybe a year and a half ago. But none of it is good or powerful in the way that a vacancy tax would be. And Bill DeBlasio proposed universal pre-K, which needed to be funded by the state. He needed authority from them to fund that program, which he ultimately got. But certainly the relationship between New York City and Albany, especially between Bill DeBlasio and Governor Cuomo, has deteriorated. So I believe a vacancy tax is the right way to tackle this problem.
But not necessarily with the people in leadership right now.
Brad Hoylman, who's the state senator for our district,
and who's on our show.
Yes, has a bill to do essentially a vacancy tax for residential pied-à-terres to make it more difficult for people to use New York as a tax haven.
Great idea, because now so many people are buying expensive condos and not living here.
And that's right, but there is not a bill for commercial real estate as far as I know. And this is what we should be striving for,
Yeah,
but again,
absolutely.
Albany.
Again, Albany. All
And
right, on
if you
that
check in
depressing
next
note-
week, we'll have James Yates, who was general counsel to the Speaker of the Assembly for a long, long time, and we're going to go in depth on how this is all messed up.
Which is great. And on that note, it's an election year.
Oh yeah,
Change-
vote!
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 Vote in the primaries and vote. This is an opportunity
Ask
to make
about
change
vacancy
happen.
tax.
Yes, a good thing to ask elected or people striving to be an elected official. All right, see you next time.
Later.